One board, 2 players, 3 arrows each. It's darts, and it's bigger than you might think. From the smoke-filled pubs of Britain to sold-out arenas around the world, darts has come a long way. But if you go back and watch the historical darts matches, you'll notice that something disappears after 2012, something important. The players still have great walk-ons, the fans still chant and wear fancy dress, the best players from every corner of the world still go into battle on the oche, and yet there is now a gaping hole. That hole was once filled by a wordsmith, a man of great enthusiasm, that unique voice, the voice of darts, Sid Waddell. Not just another sporting commentator, Waddell was so important to the aforementioned growth of the sport that he loved so much. His death in August of 2012 provided the darts community the chance to sit back and reflect on the impact of this quite remarkable man. His last commentary may have been years ago, but his impact and legacy will never die.
He sings a love song as we roll along, walking in our winter wonderlands.
Sidney Waddell was born on August the 10th, 1940. As a son of a Northumberland miner, he grew up in Alnwick. His parents, Bob and Martha, wanted their son to succeed and go beyond their working class surroundings. He excelled in his studies in English and history at King Edward VI School in Morpeth, and it was during his schooling years where his love of darts was first born. In 1958, Sid won a scholarship to read modern history at St John's College, Cambridge. He was a keen sportsman at university and organised the first inter-college darts tournament. After spending some time working in academia, Waddell looked to work in television. In 1966, he joined Granada Television, and in 1968 he moved to ITV and helped put more darts on television. At this time, the news of the World Darts Championship was the biggest darts tournament on the face of the planet. After seeing Welshman Alan Evans win the semi-final of the 1972 tournament against reigning champion Dennis Filkins in front of a rowdy crowd at the Alexandra Palace in London, Waddell believed darts could be a hit television product. As a result, Waddell, among others, cooked up a show which basically served as a pub Olympics. The show would be called the Indoor League. In addition to darts, sports like pool, basketball, table tennis, and even arm wrestling and shuffling would be shown to the living rooms of UK households for the very first time. The show was hosted by former English cricketer Fred Truman.
Now then, just slipped out for a minute from the biggest bonanza of sporting skill I've ever clapped eyes on. Down here at the Queen's Hotel in Leeds, we've got 60 odd of the best players I've ever seen in my life. None of your Charltons and your Geoffrey Boycotts, mind you. This bunch of lads are kings at those sports should get up and down the land in every pub.
But in and amongst all the sports that weren't really sports, men's darts was definitely the centrepiece of the programme. For that first edition of the Indoor League, matches were played on the Yorkshire dartboard, which has the same numbering system as a standard board, but does not have trebles or a 25/outer bullseye. All matches were played over the news of the world distance of first to 2, best of 3 legs, and that first tournament was won by Colin Milton, someone who, outside of going in the quarterfinals in Season 2, did nothing else of great note in his darting career. From Series 2 onwards, a standard dartball with trebles would be used, and from Series 4 onward, the first 3 best of 5 legs formats in the semi-final and final stage would be used. As a result of the new programme, names like Alan Evans, Leighton Rees, John Lowe, Cliff Lazarenko and Eric Bristow would all pop up and announce themselves. It would be through the Indoor League programme that the likes of Dave Lanning, a man who would become very familiar with Waddell, would encounter Sid for the first time.
The enthusiasm was sensational. All the time he was whispering in your ear, and Sid loved the offbeat, the incongruous, the bizarre, and he wallowed in Indoor League and the characters it unearthed.
Certainly, Sid was, if you like, the original spark with Indoor League. There were players there who were full of life, full of character, bounced off each other, didn't suffer falls gladly, and were showmen. And the two together was the spark for the game.
And there was a wonderful character that Sid loved when they brought in regulations which said you must wear black shoes. And this bloke played in carpet slippers. And they said to him, you're not allowed to play in carpet slippers, you've got to wear black shoes. And so he went and painted his slippers black, you see, and Sid loved that. That was absolutely straight up Sid's street. He loved all that. Indoor league never had a dull moment. It was crazy how we got away with it. We got away with 6 series, 72 programs.
He was very proud of sportsmen who came from humble backgrounds. He just thought that was fantastic, that they would overcome all odds to be successful. And you know, darts was one of the things that he really believed these guys were, as he often described them, they were indoor athletes.
Now, here is something I found quite interesting and spent a surprising amount of time researching on. During this time, Waddell wrote a book called Bedroll Bella. The book was about a 17-year-old Geordie lass who runs away from home in search of teenage kicks. She falls in with a bunch of bedrollers, hippies who drink, fight, screw, and sleep in the ruins of Scanborough Castle by night and shoplift by day. In the story, Bella eventually frees the freak lifestyle to return to the working class community, symbolised by her first act coming back, which was going to watch a game between Newcastle United and Leeds United. Waddell was a big Newcastle fan, by the way. Written in the youth publishing boom, the book was banned by both W.H. Smith and John Menzies, the latter on the day it was published as part of Mary Whitehouse's campaign against porn and titillation, even though Bella in the end gets out of the lifestyle. But despite the setback of having a book banned, Waddell would, through television as opposed to writing, become a recognisable public figure. Waddell would remain at ITV through the first 5 series of Indoor League, but would leave ITV to go to the BBC, and the timing was perfect, because in February 1978, the first PDC World Darts Championship was held, and opportunity knocked.
Working in Manchester, in a completely different department, was a chap called Sid Waddell, who one of my production team knew as a darts fanatic, who were very keen on darts. I realised immediately that he respected the sport and the players taking part in the sport, which is one reason why I wanted to persevere with him. He was a complete one-off. His background, his where he was from as a kid, his accent, the way he operated.
Who always tried to keep him disciplined and focused on the action and gave him a lot of advice that he then used for the rest of his career. And I think sometimes, whether Nick would agree, he thought my dad went too far.
He took a lot of getting used to in this rather sort of posh BBC ways of commentating in those days, where you had very fixed rules. And he, in order to commentate the way he wanted to break some of those rules. There were times when he could go over the top, and he would accept that. And there were other times when I shouldn't have put my foot on the brake, and I should just let him get on with it. Because in many ways, I mean, he was a genius in the commentary box.
Waddell would, in that moment, become the voice of the sport, and called Welshman Leighton Rees getting the better of Englishman John Lowe to become world champion.
This is it. The point on which the world championship hangs. Leighton Rees won. He could get the bull can't still 10 double tops to take the world's major prize.
The following year, Lowe and Rees met in the final again, but it was Lowe who got the win on this occasion.
John, you require 20.
Quite savouring the moment. Double 10.
Yes! Game shot!
The grin of the champion, the new champion being congratulated by the old. And there'll be a reception in Claycross as if the Ayatollah Khomeini had walked into town. John Lowe, the world professional darts champion.
But before any of you think that This means early darts was a two-man show. Two new faces would meet in the final in 1980. The colourful characters of the then world number one Eric Bristow and two-time News of the World champion Bobby George. George had the better of the first half, but was never that far ahead. Bristow worked his way back into the game, and should he win the 8th set, he wins it. George needs it to extend it, and Waddell guided the crowd through the climax of the first classic world final.
It's got the 60, treble 15.
Lovely shot.
123.
Well, I've been doing this game for a while. I don't remember this much tension. For the championship, Shanghai on 20s. He's got the 60, 20. Double top! 80! A whisker out. $18 means double 9, and the set to level it up.
Bobby, you require 18. Best of order, please.
Nice, awkward one. One. No, he busts. That says it all. So here we have championship point.
Eric, you require
The
40.
crafty Cockney Eric Bristow, rated number 1 in the
Best of
world,
order, please, ladies and gentlemen.
needs a single double to become the world champion. Wants double 10. Eric Bristow from Stoke Newington becomes the 1980 Embassy Professional Champion of the World with fantastic darts here at Jolly's.
But more than any other, the 1983 World Final would be the greatest moment, not only in the first golden age of darts, but also perhaps for Waddell's early commentary career and whole career overall. Bristow was going for his third world title in 4 years, and he faced the surprise finalist of Keith Deller, who had won his quarter-final and semi-final against world number 2 John Lowe and world number 3 and defending world champ Jockey Wilson, respectively, to set up a final against the world number 1 Bristow. It was this game where we see Waddell's unique take on sports commentary and the English language.
Bullseye. Well, they ain't exactly impartial, some of the lads here, but if you think they're excited, what are the people in Suffolk and Ipswich doing now? Tops for Della.
Game shot, that's the second set to Keith Della.
Sheer bewilderment on some people in the audience. He's got a few quid on Della. Bristow wants 101 to get back in the match. Double tops. Bristow strikes back, just like the Empire. Bristow 1, but Keith Della 2 sets.
If you were to say, name 4 people that you would know with darts in the 80s, it'd be Eric Bristow, John Lowe, Jockey Wilson and Sid Waddell.
140.
Keith's mother has been known to do the chips with one hand and throw darts with the other.
85.
She'll throw the chip pan out the window if he wins this.
He gave us a lot more credibility, really, because you know we were great players, but we had a bad image, and the press seemed to jump on that a lot. But with Sid being a very intellectual person that always stuck up for us, really gave us a lot of respect that we never really got from other people.
And in that final, with Bristow needing the 4th leg of the last set to force a tiebreaker, or else Della would win the title, he made a gamble, and what happened next, with Sid's assistance, remains one of the great darts moments, and is the reason why the 138 checkout is referred to as the Della.
He's got to get this leg, Bristow. Bullseye. Played the percentage shot.
89. He's required
Looking dangerous, Bristow. He's banking on Della not doing this, but the shot's on for the title. Double 12 for the title.
nothing like it in my life. Keith Della of Ipswich, 23-year-old, he had to qualify to get here. Bristow did a percentage shot. Della did the business. He's now the world champion. A freak out here at Jolly's. A freak out. Wondrous darts.
Della had beaten the best 3 players in the world to become world champion, and the match is still the most watched darts game of all time, with anywhere between 8 to 10 million people, though most sources have it closer to the 8 million people mark, watching it on the BBC. During Waddell's time on the BBC, in addition to all the people already mentioned, another darts commentator at the time was Tony Greig, who would work at every BDO World Championship from the first in 1978 until his retirement in 2016. Greig, rather than Waddell, would call the winning double in the latter years of Waddell's time in the BDO. From 1990 to 1994, Waddell called the first half of the final, and Greig would call the second half, which of course included the World Championship winning dart. For reasons I'll get into in a video that will be released in about a month, soon after the 1983 World Final, the first golden age of darts faded away. The BBC cut their darts coverage down to just the World Championship, and ITV stopped broadcasting any darts at all. In the eyes of the best players, it was the BDO to blame, and in 1992 they formed a rival league, the World Darts Council, and after the 1993 BDO World Championship, due to the BDO's refusal to acknowledge the new organisation, the rebels struck out and organised their own World Championship, won by Dennis Priestley, who beat Phil Taylor by 6 sets to 1. Waddell did not commentate on that event, rather calling the BDO edition, but due to his closeness and support of the rebel players, he felt out of place, saying he was treated like a pariah during the BDO event. Sid's son, Dan, wrote, "The 1994 BDO World Darts Championship had the feel of the 1980 Moscow Olympics after the US boycott, or Test cricket during Packers World Series. The best players and most enthralling characters in the game weren't there, so the whole event felt hollow and fraudulent." Feeling out of place, and with the best players and many of his former commentary colleagues now with the WDC and Sky Sports, Sid would follow.
I watched the first ever Sky PDC World Championship from the Circus Tavern, Purfleet in Essex, in the tap room of the Railway Boozer in Pudsey in Yorkshire, where I live. First, I had to laugh. Jeff Stelling came down to the stage through a dense fog of dry ice with 2 unrecognisable figures behind him, and he said, "Now please welcome 2 household names, Dennis Priestley and Jockey Brown." Landlord John Oxley winked at me and said, "Sid, cock up in the first minute. That bloke thinks he's you." But the smoke, hot and cold running oasis, and nubile dollies with banners was spot on. If you can't beat them sitters, I thought, join the buggers.
Guy come in, they do the razzmatazz, they walk on girls, people like that. Just part of the jigsaw, you put all the jigsaw together, then you get a great shot.
Sid really completed the jigsaw. We had great coverage, great new, fresh approach to doing it with Sky. If we had the best players, then we needed the best commentator. It was really a quick phone call with Sid and a quick discussion over a pint of cooking lager, as he used to call it.
Commentators, Sid Waddell and Dave Lanning.
Thank you, softly spoken Jeff. Yes, it's a time for a bit of hush. Oh, absolute perfection. Wow, that's the best bit of bullying I've ever batted eyes on.
Waddell's first TV event on Sky would occur at the 1994 World Match Play, where he would call home the American Larry Butler's surprise victory in the final over the reigning world champion Priestley.
Yes, it's been a game that went truly the opposite of what I thought. The American for the title once tops. That's a good one. Envelope and bed and a bumper in, maybe. Yes! Larry Butler upsets the form books and the pros and the experts. And down it comes. Snow in Blackpool in August. Larry Butler gives Dennis a pasting. What a game. Dennis got back into it, but the American has won the title 16-12.
While the WDC, eventually renamed to the Professional Darts Corporation PDC, was continuing to build and get recognition, Sid was there for great moments, and his enthusiasm never wavered through the tough early years. Best summarised for me when Dennis Priestley, who needed to win the leg to save the World Championship match, threatened the 9-darter.
Dennis under the cosh, but still doing the gladiatorialness slow bit at the appropriate time. He's possibly thinking about a 9-darter. He is thinking about a 9-darter. This would be an incredible... It is, it's on! He set up a 9-darter! I don't believe it! I do not believe it! He's fighting for his life, but he's set up a 9-dart!
That's when it's most likely to happen. When you've got to do it, you do it! And Taylor gets a maximum now! But settle down! One and all!
41.
This could be the most magic moment of them all!
The joint erupts!
A 9-dart wins you 25,000 quid.
Looking at treble 19. The 9-dart is on, but Dennis...
Yes! That means
Two
now he
more.
wants 90. Treble 18 for double 18. Oh, so
Missed the treble 18 by a 60th minute.
I think even Phil Taylor feels for him there.
Taylor won that match, but to get there he had to go through a classic semi-final against Eric Bristow in what was Bristow's last rodeo deep in a TV tournament. And this is what Sid had for the occasion.
Remember what happened to Little Red Riding Hood when she got home with the 3 little pigs, and huffing and puffing started, the house fell down.
Okay, it is complete and utter bollocks. But what did Willie Wordsworth say about emotion recollected in tranquility? Well, you just try being tranquil, pal, when the fun starts up on the hockey. The crowds had a swally, all 2,000 of them. So have the players. If you're 3 commentators high on each other's adrenaline, a director telling you to crank it up.
Okay, fair Sid, and at any rate, that didn't affect what was happening in the match, though he did that once. At the first staging of the World Grand Prix in 1998, the tournament which uses the double start format, the finals saw Rod Harrington take on Phil Taylor over the best of 35 first to 2 leg sets. Taylor was now the one threatening the 9. He'd thrown 6 perfect darts. Things were going well, and then this happened.
161 says Bruce Bentley.
9-14 on an autumn night in Rochester. He's on it! He wants treble 17.
He can hear you, Sid. He can hear you. We're quite close to the stage. Settles himself. A lot of pin drops in the room. Treble 17. Got it. Wants the bull for 25,000.
136.
Despite winning that tournament 11 times, Taylor would never hit a double start 9-darter at the Grand Prix. The following year, Waddell was hired and then dumped by the BBC as their host of the National Lottery after just one show. The reason, in Waddell's words, voice to Geordie. Now firmly working alongside the best people in darts, Waddell's career would continue to flourish.
Everyone who worked on the darts knew they were working with a genius.
He wants a clean, fast kill now. Would be incredible, a third once. Oh, yes! So an incredible way! What an incredulous way to finish a match!
He was the showman, you know. We were taking darts out of small little clubs into big halls in Blackpool, which is where he first started, and he loved it.
Wants double 6 to save the match.
Games on the 8th leg. Keith Della.
Yeah, look at Bella! Tungsten, chuck in on your telly!
I've met a lot of people in television, never met anyone like Sid.
He made it fashionable, he made it funny, he made it entertaining.
Wants double 12.
Yes!
Oh, he has stolen that one. That's a classic piece of Bristow nicking, Sid.
Absolutely. Dick Turpin would have been proud of that one.
He made the nation aware of darts.
Sid put that point across and educated people to the beauties of the errors.
He took darts from a Cinderella sport and made it the belle of the ball. He took darts from spit and sawdust to champagne and stardust.
With bigger tournaments, more of them, with ever-growing quality, meant more and more people were being enthralled and drawn to darts, and Sid's unique usage of the English language.
We've had the Old Testament, the New Testament, we've done Chaucer and Shakespeare. How about the Apocrypha?
His rhetoric and repartee was just in a class of its own.
You can't have all the walk-ons, the crazy walk-ons and everything else. If someone is just going to say, well, that was a great game, that really was. What a 170 finish. Superb. It'd fall flat on his face. Sid has helped the sport of darts be what it is today.
He's twitching like a ferret in a wind. Suddenly he is.
Everybody said, oh, he prepares all these different lines about Gotterdammerungs and Twilight of the Gods and all this bits and that. And he didn't. Really, Sid really worked off the top of his head, and I sat next to him for 20 years.
But Sid was no one-man show. He was able to work well with those alongside him. Best showcased at the Winter Gardens in Blackpool in 2002 as Phil Taylor looked to hit the first 9-darter on live British television, and the first one done on satellite, with the previous 3 on free-to-air networks, ITV for John Lowe, and the BBC for Paul Lim, both in the UK, and SBS 6 in the Netherlands for Sean Greybatch.
Sid had never done a 9-darter. I felt that it was he should have called it, so I shut up.
Yes, he's got it. Treble 19. Double 12 for history! History! He's done it! He's done it! He's hit the 9 darts! 100,000 quid!
Then you see, if you listen to the commentary, Sid has called it, and then he has shut up and allowed me to say.
Well, you have to agree, that is a moment in television history, the first live 9-dart finish.
Sid was very unselfish and gave me that, so you came across as a duo, as a pair.
Taylor knew Sid better than most. It was a friendship that went back to their time in the BDO. He called the winning dart in most of his world title victories, and was the man who perhaps, before anyone else, recognised he would go on to be the undisputed greatest darts player of all time.
He's like part of my family, really, Sid was. You know, he probably knew more about myself than what I did myself, if that makes sense. He was just very, very clever. He had piles and piles of research he collected off newspaper cuttings. You know, I said to him, can I have them? Because he got everything. All little things marked out. He knew exactly about everything, about everybody.
What's this fella's name? Sid Waddell.
The fella was a genius in his own way. And then a bit daft in other ways. You know what I mean? I remember again when Sid was writing my book, I went up to the house, and Irene, his wife, sent him to the shop for 3 things. And he forgot to. I went for something like, I think she sent him for a loaf of bread, some butter and a bottle of milk, and he came back with 5 pound of taters, a paper and a bar of chocolate.
Hey, you kid, I bet you can't guess where I am. I'm in Ireland, the Emerald Isle. I'm at darts. I'm at the Paddy Power Darts. Phil the Power Tillers after 60,000 punts up there. Hey, he'll stroll this 161, kidder.
Anybody mentions Sid, they all smile. Which is lovely, isn't it? A lovely way to be remembered.
Through the 2000s, with the help of Sid, as well as one Barry Hearn at the helm of the PDC's operation, darts was becoming one of the hottest tickets in sport, and viewing figures were on the up. Waddell was there for the great moments when the PDC World Championship was still held at its original home of the Circus Tavern, such as John Part ending Taylor's run of 8 World Championships on the trot, with his win in the 2003 World Final, 7-6.
To take the world title. 18 and tops. Greatest player ever. John Part wants tops to sink Taylor and does it! John Part of Canada, in the greatest game ever seen by Sky, beats the 10 times world champion!
He was there as Taylor regained his title a year later, winning in a sudden death leg in 2004 with a victory over Kevin Painter.
Epic it's been! Now can be sorted out by this. 2 10s! 2 5s to become world champ again. Phil Taylor has sweated and hoped for 12 months. Yvonne Cuddles Natalie. Painter is gracious in defeat.
In 2006, Wayne Mardle fancied his chances against Taylor, though he was left to rue missed opportunities to take the first set, as the pair combined for 21 missed darts at double, and as that unfolded, Waddell made references to playing the tambourine, Harry Houdini, Groundhog Day, and mating elephants.
Fat 20. Lovely mark of that dart. Oh, in the barrel!
When you require 20.
For a fantastic set on the wire. Half the crowd thought it was in. Harry Houdini couldn't get in here. Unlucky.
He is normally ruthless in this kind of situation.
Oh, the flight awkward can pull it into the single. His hand's shaking. Oh, his hand's shaking like a tambourine player.
Double 10. That is the number. That is the marker.
Same marker. Double 5 for the set. Pulled. Incredible.
Failure required 40.
People bouncing up like jackrabbits on springs.
And here's Taylor back again. And he's too high. Surely, surely, surely he can't miss again.
Surely he can where the flights are, dear. This is difficult.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
When you require 5.
Double 2. It's blocked the bed. Still a chance. Hit the barrel. Incredible.
Double trouble. And they both realise that this is getting to be just a little farcical.
Does anybody up there? 100,000 quid. Tops. Philip. Or knees will be slapped. It's Groundhog Day, it's the same lie. Oh, incredible. It's gone the wrong way.
No score.
I don't believe it.
Double 2 for Model.
It would look daft at the dog and duck. But it's the World Championship. Madhouse. Burst it.
Just quite unbelievable. Can't go on.
Not 20 darts at doubles between these two. Two of the best in the world. At last the result. It was like watching elephants think about mating. Incredible. Taylor, one set up.
In 2006, the best player in the BDO at the time, Raymond van Barneveld, made the switch to the PDC for the main intention to play Taylor more often. They did so for the first time since Barney's switch in the Premier League Darts, a tournament in just its second edition, coming off the back of the success of the now defunct Premier League Snooker on Sky. On that night where Barney and Taylor would meet for the first time since the Dutchman's switch in Bournemouth, Van Barneveld would hit the first Premier League 9-darter against Peter Manley, which Sid would call.
Raymond to require 141.
Double 19, double 12 for a 9-darter. Double 12 for a fantastic 9-dart! He did it! I do not believe my Geordie eyes! Barney does a 9-darter on the night there were those who doubted his greatness.
But their greatest match was arguably the greatest darts match ever, the 2007 PDC World Final between Phil Taylor and Raymond van Barneveld, which Sid called in the first 5 sets with Dave Lanning and with John Gwynn in the last 8 sets. That became the first match on Sky Sports to be watched by an audience of over 1 million people.
Tops he wants.
And he gets it! Barneveld is the champion of the world!
He goes out, Misters! 5 title records! What a player!
What a player! What a comeback! What a match!
With the sport getting bigger than ever, the PDC had to move away from a venue that wouldn't have even seated 1,000 people. So, away from the Circus Tavern we go and onto the Alexandra Palace, and that was fitting. If you remember earlier, Waddell's great light bulb moment that darts could be a big thing occurred at the News of the World Championship at the Ali Pali, albeit that event was held in the Great Hall and the World Championship was moved to the smaller West Hall. The move to the People's Palace was a sign among many that darts, especially on Sky, were growing. It was in the Premier League where perhaps the most remarkable night of Waddell's career occurs, the 2010 League Finals night at the Wembley Arena. The culmination of the 2010 League was supposed to happen on May the 23rd, but due to a power failure, it was postponed to the 24th. The first semi-final saw James Wade defeat Simon Whitlock 8 legs to 6. For the second semi-final, which saw Phil Taylor take on Mervyn King, it gave us perhaps the most extraordinary darts commentary team of all time.
Waddell. What could be better? I'm like a pig in Chardonnay, I tell you. I couldn't be happier.
Once upon a time, I cracked the jokes around here. Now everybody does it.
I've got these two mega intelligent people, you know, that are sitting beside me and they're going, like, and Stephen's coming out with his phrases and Sid's coming out with phrases, and I'm sitting there and I wanted to say something, but inside I was just laughing my head off. And it was a crazy commentary.
Oh, is it again?
Some could be in.
I think he just really enjoyed the banter and bouncing off him and doing that bit of commentary with him. He was tickled pink afterwards. He was hyper. I remember speaking to him afterwards. He really enjoyed it.
Once upon a time, he was breaking all records. Now he's only breaking his heart. Nothing you can do. Totally clips to the dart.
It just worked beautifully. It worked brilliantly. It's 20 minutes of very entertaining television.
But for the final, between Taylor and Wade, the classic duo of Lanning and Waddell would be there for one of the great TV games. Wade takes out 136 to win the first leg, but in the second, Taylor starts off with 6 perfect darts, 174 and a 180, before Lanning calls the following.
147 shot then for a 9-dart finish from Philip Taylor. Hold your breath. Treble 17. Double 18 for a moment of history. He did it! He did it! A 9-darter in answer. I do not believe my Godlin bins.
As you heard, Waddell also added some comments in the moment. With the score at 7-7 and a race to 10, Taylor hits back-to-back 180s and Lanning hands over the reins to Sid.
Well, whoever thought I was going to say this, but watch James Wade. I called one, Sid. It's your turn to possibly call a second for the first time in darting history.
They are both coming down in 9-darter style first pop. Treble 19. Double 12! Dave Lanning, say it! Cause I'm gobsmacked! I am gobsmacked! Say it, Dave!
You are present in a moment of the greatest sporting history, certainly in dart. 2 9-darters in one night from Phil Taylor. Tell your grandchildren about that. That's the dart that did it for Phil Taylor, and that is historic.
But in both instances, one man was allowed to contribute, showing how even with the main man being Sid, it was always a two-person effort. Taylor nearly hit 3 9-darters, as in the 16th leg, he got 7 perfect darts in, but missed the treble 17 as part of the 147 combination. Taylor still wins that leg in 10 darts, and eventually, despite a brilliant, valiant effort from Wade, Taylor wins 10-8 to reclaim the Premier League title after Wade had won it the previous year. When Taylor met Van Barneveld to the World Match Play final of 2010, expectations were high given Taylor's dual 9-darters.
Treble
in fact, Barneveld had done one a
17.
few weeks earlier in Scotland, and he'd also hit one in the first round of that tournament.
Well, Phil Taylor's got to hit
In
this
the
double
final
eight now.
itself, Waddell in my history was very much excited
call,
about this
Ian.
commentary of the
Final.
match.
Oh, yesterday bounced one in half an inch off the line. Did it again! I don't believe me, Geordie eyes! Again! Watch his dart! Scores in the ballyclover. Well, if Pirates had been like that when I was younger, I might have gone on the high seas.
But Sky Sports were also putting a lot of energy into this match. As the semi-final and final of this tournament, darts became the 5th sport to be shown in 3D. The coverage was made available in 1,000 pubs across the islands of Britain and Ireland. Waddell himself said this was a revolution in darts TV broadcasting. For years I've described our coverage as resembling a rock and roll concert on your telly. Now it's going to resemble rock and roll concert in your pub. I can't wait. Waddell's last commentary of a world final was in 2011 for the matchup between Adrian Lewis and Gary Anderson. With Sky Sports showing the final in both 2D and 3D, they implemented 2 different commentating teams. In 2D, Rod Studd and Sid Waddell commentated, while in 3D it was Wayne Mardle and Stuart Pike. Side note, if anyone can find publicly available footage of this match with Mardle and Pike's commentary, especially about the leg I'm about to describe, please let me know. I would love to hear it. Anyway, the game gets underway, and in just the 3rd leg, Waddell had the opportunity to call more history as Lewis threatened the first 9-darter in a world final.
Potjagrani in a roomy. Send your daddy to the steamy. Get some biscuits and a droppy. This darts match will make you happy.
Well, I said it was 5-1 against the 9-darter. It's a lot shorter now because Lewis could
do it in a world final.
96, aging required 141.
One Ellen Stoke. Double to smacked. John Liney. Double 12. Go! 80, it's a 9-darter. Gets £10,000 under the guinea. We have sensation in no time at all.
I would say the last great darts highlight Waddell called was John Part's really out of nowhere 9-dart finish in the first round of the 2011 World Match Play. After going down 7 legs to 3, Part pulled out a perfect leg in the 11th leg against Mark Webster. It was the 9th and final 9-darter, which Waddell was on the commentary team for.
Dennis Ovens. 9-darter on now, out of nowhere. John Part, averaging a miserable 90. Treble 19. Double 12!
Waddell's final commentary occurred in May 2012 in the first half of the 2012 Premier League final. This was not long after it was announced that he'd been diagnosed with bowel cancer. The Premier League's previous night was in Newcastle, and Waddell would be interviewed beforehand as part of a documentary on his life on sport, and it was unseen until after his passing.
I was told by one guy, Nick Hunter, who brought snooker to television. He said, "You're the bloke with the binoculars who knows a lot about it, telling the people out there what it's about. I think I know when to shut up." Might sound funny coming from me, but if two blokes hit back-to-back 180s, you can let it run for 40 seconds on what that does to the crowd, which is part of the game's appeal.
For chugging in when I feel sick.
I think what happens to me is that I'm as nervous as anything. I shake. I have been known to be sick at times before games. But once I get in, that was a good run on me, you on stage. And I was terrified as I was warming up. And once the bloke said, "Get on your marks, game time." Same like that. I've got to get on telly in an hour's time. I'm ready.
On the 11th of August 2012, one day after his 72nd birthday, Waddell died of cancer. Soon after, the PDC made the extraordinary step to commission a brand new trophy to present to future world champions, which soared up Waddell's legacy. Every world champion, starting in 2013, would lift the Sid Waddell Trophy.
It's no secret to say that, Sid Waddell was and is the voice of darts. He's been synonymous with the success that we've enjoyed, and his enthusiasm has driven us forward, and he's been so supportive. It's just a way of us publicly saying how much we're going to miss him and how we valued his contribution to our sport and the effect that he's had on making it so successful.
First World Championship after Waddell's passing, the 2013 edition, also the last for legendary referee Bruce Spendley, would see Phil Taylor and Michael Van Gerwen meet in the final. During the match, the crowd began to chant, "Stand up for Sid Waddell," and as they did so, Phil Taylor did this.
And I was...
Absolutely brilliant. Well, that would certainly be one way of acknowledging our old commentary pal.
96.
Another brilliant 180 from Taylor.
Well, Phil looked up there when he hit the 180. A nice gesture by the power.
Phil Taylor won his 16th and final world title. All things considered, with regards to where his career was, perhaps his finest. There was no more fitting person to lift the Waddell Trophy for the first time, and that's what's remarkable to me. Let me know if you can think or find anything close, but I can't find another sport who've paid tribute to a commentator to the point of naming the biggest prize in their sport after a media personality, not a former player or coach turned broadcaster, by the way, someone whose involvement in the sport during their working life was exclusively in the work of media, and deservingly so. There are many great commentators in darts right now, but there is something about Sid, his accent, his wordsmithery, his timing, his humour, that gave his commentary something completely different to almost anyone else who has ever had the duty of calling sport live. More than anything else, there is no commentator who has transcended their sport quite like Sid. No one who has catched people's imagination has attracted their ears. I just hope people like me who have got into the sport recently, either because of Fallon or Smith or Littler, we are not ignorant to the great history and giants who paved the way for players like the three I just mentioned. One of those greats, unquestionably, was Sid Waddell, the man who lifted darts out of the pub and into 1,000-capacity arenas around the world.
We owe a huge debt to Sid Waddell.
He was probably one of my closest friends in darts.
He's sadly missed.
The commentator who changed the face of a working man's sport.
Sid was darts.
I feel he's still here, because I can still hear his voice.
Sid Waddell has put his fingerprints on the sport of darts.
Sid Waddell, the most important figure to the growth of darts, and he did it without throwing a dart.